Hello everybody, this is Murray back with you on this edition of the Lavaca County News Reviews, and we'll be reviewing the 4 newspapers in the county, and we'll be going through these briefly. There are some repeat stories in a lot of these. I'm going to start off with what I like to call the flagship paper, the Hallettsville Tribune-Herald, and on the front page we have a story about Michelle Price joining our company, and we are very happy to have her. She does an excellent job. In fact, those of you that listen to these reviews might have heard her last week when she was a co-host with me on this podcast, and I'm sure we'll be having Michelle back soon. Also, there's a picture on the front page of Liz Coba swearing in the County Judge Keith Mudd, giving his oath of office. So that all happened last Sunday. And then we also have a story by our senior reporter, Jimmy Apple, about Liz Coba stepping down after 42 years with the county. So that's a great story. We also have Chuck Groff's 50 years ago, Henry Joe Yashik's Town Chatter. And don't forget the Texas State Domino Tournament is coming up Sunday, January 15th. And we'll go on through here. We've got an article by Bobby Horiska about all of us that work for these papers. We all have new email addresses, and he's got them all listed for the Tribune, and you'll find them on every paper, the different emails that we'll be using now. So keep that in mind. And we've got a little story about the Sweet Home Volunteer Fire Department receiving some new equipment. And basically, I think that's all for the A section. We have school news. We're going to jump into the sports now with our senior sports reporter, Chuck Groff. Chuck has a column about TCU going to play for the national championship. I believe that's coming up Monday, if I'm correct. And he's got a story, 3 tournaments and 3 titles about the Sacred Heart Indianettes, and they were at Nixon Smiley. They did well. So basically, I think we're going to wrap that sports up. We have local news, local events. Don't forget your classifieds. We always want to include those. And I could give myself a plug. In the B section, I have a column called Booger Red, Ugliest Man Living or Dead. And this is a true story about this man. And he was one of the greatest bronc riders that this country has ever seen. So if you're interested in history and you're interested in that sort of stuff, well, give it a look. We'll be happy to have you do that. We're going to move on over now to the Yoakum Herald-Times. And on the front page, it's promoting the 2023 Yoakum Stock Show, which is coming up January 13th and 14th. Then we have a story about the Yoakum homeowner being robbed at gunpoint, and also a hunting knife. And I don't see how these guys are still on the loose, because they've got fairly good pictures of both of them. They got a picture of their car, which is pretty distinct, as it is two-toned and not probably intentionally two-toned. But I think if you come across this on our websites and whatever, please share that story so we can catch these guys before they do this to somebody else. And this Hans Lammerman, that used to be a regular here, is now an independent journalist, but he still contributes to our papers. And he's got his yesteryear in Yoakum, where he's gone back to January 4th, 1938. And that's some interesting stuff. That's an interesting read for you. And we have, on the sports page, we have Tri-County softball umpires gear up for the new season, and they're looking for recruits. And Mark Luby has a story about the Lady Bulldogs placing 3rd in their home tournament. So take a look at all that, and like I said before, keep an eye out for the classifieds. If you need somebody to come to work for you, or you need to have a garage sale or whatever, you need to check that out and use our classifieds, because they come in real handy. And don't forget our website, LavacaCountyToday.com. because we have a lot of stories there that you may not see in your regular hard copy newspaper. So go to LavacaCountyToday.com and think about subscribing, because you can see a lot of stories before your hard copy ever comes to your house, and probably see a lot of stories that might not even be in the paper. We're going to move on over now to the Shiner Gazette. We got a story about Pope Benedict passing away, and it's a good story. It happened. He passed away on New Year's Eve. And we also have another story about Michelle Price joining our team. And more pictures of people taking their oath of office, and he's got a picture of new Precinct 3 Justice of the Peace, Mark Yackel, taking his oath of office. And again, we have the story about Liz Coba, which is very interesting, and thank her for her many years of service to this county. And basically, we're going to see here, too, there's an art exhibition at the Old Moulton Baptist Church. That's coming up January the 11th. And more promotions on the Texas State Domino Tournament that will be in Hallettsville. And also, we've got a big ad from Patek's Grocery, and we certainly appreciate our advertisers. And we would appreciate it if you would go and shop with them, because they support our papers. And then on the Shiner Sports, we have another article by Mark Luby about the Lady Cardinals from St. Paul going 2-2 at the Yoakum Holiday Classic tourney. So you need to check these stories out. Mark Luby does a great job for these papers. He writes for Shiner and Yoakum and occasionally in Moulton. And we appreciate Mark and everything that he's doing. But basically, that's probably going to cover it. We have a picture here of the old court, the old commissioner's court, and without the new ones. And the Shiner PD is reminding the public not to dump illegally. So you don't need to be doing that. And that's all for Shiner. We're going to move on over now and wrap it up with the Moulton Eagle. And once again, the Moulton Eagle has the stories of county commissioners and county judges taking their oath. Got two great pictures of that, and they were taken by our managing editor, Bobby Hariska. And Bobby has a story in here about the transfer of ownership to the bridle rail, and you need to read that. They've been in business a long time, and now they have a new owner. So we look forward to supporting them, and hopefully their business will go forward and prosper. And we have a picture and another story by Bobby Hariska, our managing editor, about Liz Coba and the efforts that she makes to protect and restore some of these old books of county history. Also, my story about Booger Red, the ugliest man living or dead, is in Moulton. The editorial about the new email is in Moulton and gives you the addresses for all of us that contribute to the Moulton Eagle. And let me see, we've got a recap of the top news, weather, and sports headlines for 2022. That was written by our senior reporter, Jimmy Apple. And basically that's going to wrap it up. Some of these jumps from the front page go to page 6. So you need to follow up on those. And then we have that same story about Michelle Price joining the county papers. And we welcome her. She's doing a great job, very helpful to all of us old guys that she has to put up with in the Hallettsville Tribune office. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up. I'm doing it solo today, as I'm sure you can tell. And we're going to have a guest probably next week, and we will be inviting Michelle back soon because she was very, very good at her reporting, and she was well prepared for the podcast. And I appreciate all the work she put into that. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it, and we'll see you next week for the Lavaca County News Reports. Goodbye, everybody.